Okay, in the next few minutes, I'm going to share 6 powerful perspective techniques that you can add to your prompts that can create attention-grabbing, story-rich visuals. Now, these visual marketing tools can help you to convey complex ideas instantly and leave a lasting impression on your audience. So let's get to it. Worm's eye view. Now, for this image, I'm actually going to take off Prompt Enhance, which is one of my favorite features in 𝓱𝓮𝓵𝓹. And I wanted to actually just take that off because I wanted to show the regular prompt. So here's how I take that off. I just basically have Prompt Enhance here, and I just turn it off. You can keep it on automatic later on, but for this exercise, I just wanted to show you guys the actual prompt and what it would produce in 𝓱𝓮𝓵𝓹. So here I have a prompt that says, generate an image of a person holding a smartphone displaying a new app interface. The background should be a modern office setting. So this is just a regular prompt for a tech business that's trying to show off its new app. Great. Now here we're saying that it's just a regular image. It's pretty straightforward and, it looks normal. Now let's go ahead and enhance it to produce a worm's eye view, and let's take a look at the differences between the two images. And it says create a worm's eye view image, and actually make sure I prompted specifically for that, of a person looking confidently holding a smartphone. So it does have a bit more drama to it, and then it'll show you how the interface is going to be more prominent and enlarged because of the worm's eye view. So it's fantastic. So let's take a look at what these two images look like side by side. Great. Now on the left, we have here the regular app. The new app is going to be in the office setting. And here we have it outside amongst the buildings. And you can see it's got a little bit of a tilted, but it's got more of a worm's eye view. You're looking up at it. Now, the difference is that one main difference that you're taking this image that you want to promote out of a standard setting, which looks good, but it's also kind of boring. And here you're putting it in business setting to make it look more aspirational. And by taking it out of that context and giving it that angle, the worm's eye view, yeah, it's the actual size, but when it's among those bigger buildings, it makes it look more significant. It's even ambitious because you're saying this app is going to dominate something. Forced perspective. Now, the forced perspective is basically, it uses optical illusion to convey the message. For example, I had a friend of mine who had a picture of her. It was a great picture when she went to Egypt. She had a picture of her, and then it was her kissing one of the Egyptian pyramids. It was something that was fun. It caught people's attention, and it was just a very unusual image, and it was very simple. So you can imagine how that would be useful for business leaders, because one thing about forced perspective is that it's great for comparisons to emphasize growth, because the idea is that you can make an object appear larger, smaller, closer, farther away. And then you can actually use that to kind of emphasize the growth you've experienced. And you could even use it to make more complex or abstract ideas more digestible. So let's take a look at what a regular image would look like without the forced perspective added to the prompt. Here I have a very simple image of a business person standing next to a graph showing an upward trend. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how that one is generated.
Thanks for your time. If you find what I'm putting out here valuable, useful, of course, like, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you're so inclined, buy me a coffee. Buying me a coffee not only keeps most of my content free, but it also keeps me from relying on sponsors. I'll leave a link in the description, but anytime you want to do that, feel free. Thanks.
Okay, so we can see that Leonardo has really taken that and probably looked something like it's imposed the graph onto the photo. And it looks really cool, but again, it looks kind of plain. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how the forced perspective prompt inside the prompt, along with other additions, would really make this idea, this financial idea, pop a little bit more. Now, as we can see are the right image, this is the standard image of how this financial person is showing growth. And it's actually a pretty decent image. You kind of clean this part up a little bit and it could do well. Now, this one is the forced perspective in the prompt. And while this one kind of does look like a forced perspective, this one definitely has a message of here is the growth that you wanted to see. Now, this is I think Leonardo really kind of took the forced perspective onto itself. So let me show you something a little bit more obvious as a forced perspective view. And it's an image that I did not too long ago. Now, here is a great example of a forced perspective. You've got a hand holding up an entire city. So basically, you're showing that, I have this idea that I want to share with you. I want to convert the city or something else, some other complex concept that you wanted to explain. Fisheye. The fisheye perspective is actually one of my favorites. And it's an ultra-wide angle lens that shows a visual distortion. Very much like you're looking through goggles or you're looking through fish's eye underwater. So you can see the distortion in the image, and it's very eye-catching. Now you can use that to kind of show a broader perspective on something. It gives it that surreal quality that I mentioned that's very eye-catching. And it tends to have a bit of modernity to it. So it's used a lot in the tech. Great. So we've seen images like this before. You show somebody's offices, you show everybody's working at a computer, and it's a cool image. Now let's take a look at when you put in the fisheye lens into the prompt, and then we'll compare the two images. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, you can see how much cooler that looks. Let me go ahead and generate another one just to give it a little bit of a different perspective. Then we'll compare the standard with the other fisheye image.
Elevate your content, save hours, and wow your audience. Even design novices become visual pros. Learn the art of AI-powered visuals at bit.ly/Leo4biz.
Great. So now this is the standard image that I had created, and I actually worked on the fisheye prompt to create something a little bit more where I could see the employees a little bit better. And as you can see here, the regular shot does show a limited area, while this one captures the entirety of the space, and you can actually get like a more dynamic feeling, adds a bit more energy to it because of the perspective. And the distortion effects makes it look a bit more modern and innovative. And then it gives it also a sense of depth and dimensionality that you can really experience when you're looking at this. Now, this one, like I said, looks like a typical common view of an office that people expect, but this is definitely more of an adjustment. People are going to be like, well, what am I looking at? And it doesn't create that sense of engagement when you do that kind of imagery in your marketing or in your brochures or what have you. Dutch angle. Now, a Dutch angle is just a tilted camera angle. You may not have realized that you've seen it, but you have. If you've taken a look at any kind of, it's very popular in the tech sector, where you're actually looking at a very oddly angled image. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So first, let me go ahead and set this up. The scenario again is we've got, a confident entrepreneur standing in a modern office holding a tablet displaying a new app interface. Now, this is a background that is a very regular background. So here is what that regular background looks like. So again, we're looking at a regular head-on shot of this entrepreneur holding the tablet with the app. Now, let's take a look at what the Dutch angle perspective would look like. Now, remember, the Dutch angle is supposed to it tends to create unease, but it also has a dynamism about it. So the prompt itself should dictate that. So let me show you the prompt I'm going to be using. Now, this prompt is basically telling Leonardo that I want the Dutch angle tilt to be 15 degrees. In this case, I actually want to increase it a little bit, and I'm going to increase it to 30 degrees because that'll make it more pronounced and it'll show you what I mean. Now, it shows a confident entrepreneur Now this is slightly off center. It's going to be slightly off center. It's going to be holding the tablet. And the background is going to be a modern office, but you're going to have the desks, but it's going to basically, everything's going to look as diagonal as possible. There are going to be subtle motion effects. So this is a much healthier prompt that should enhance the Dutch angle tilt. And I'm actually going to make it counterclockwise. The dynamic part of this is the Dutch angle image that we've created, is that there's a lot of angularity to almost everything. The person who's holding the app, the entrepreneur, his body's angled and he's pushing out the tablet, which gives it a more inviting. And, he's basically saying, come try this, you'll like it. The light behind the person is really intense, that gives that dynamic feel to the image. Angularity of the windows and everything just kind of points toward this entrepreneur and the app that he's holding. You can use it however you wish. You can use it for product launches or anything like that. But this is just an example of how the Dutch angle changes from a standard, regular look to something more forward-thinking. Bird's eye view. Bird's eye view, also known as, you've seen it as the aerial view, the drone level view. Basically, it's the top down. Now, the benefits of that is that it demonstrates scale and efficiency of an operation. It provides a comprehensive view of a complex process. It's actually very good for logistics, which is the example I'm going to be showing you in minutes. And then it highlights any kind of systematic approach to any kind of an idea or even your organization. So it really does help to break down more complex systems into something that people can better understand. You see it in manufacturing, event planning, especially when you're looking at concert footage. You look at that, that's the drone view. It's a bird's eye view. We're talking about retailing. You've seen it in political events. So in event planning, I think it's a very popular view or perspective. Now, we'll take a look and see how efficient we are. That's the narrative behind that kind of perspective. And it can show how competent your organization is or how you are and the scale and even sophistication of what you're doing. Now, I've got a prompt here. Let's take a look at this one. This is basically, it says, an image of a warehouse interior with rows and shelves and forklifts. Great. So we've seen images like this before, more than likely, where you're taking a look at a section and you've got the forklifts and the moving and the items up top. So this is a typical view. Okay, let's take a look. And we've got here, create a bird's eye view of a large warehouse facility. So we definitely want to expand the prompt to show that it's expansive and to give it as much detail as we possibly can. Now, already we're seeing, when we compare these, we're already seeing just how much more effective the bird's eye view is. I mean, in this section, we're saying, okay, here's our warehouse. We're only showing one section of it. Now, this here, we're showing, look how vast and efficient and even technologically advanced our logistics are. See how much we have to offer. So when you're looking at this, the scope really does communicate how much more expansive and how much more systematic the layout is. And that can be beneficial, especially if you're trying to do something to show an operation and the true capacity of the operation and even the efficiency of an operation. Split level. Split level perspective is one that we are all familiar with. If you've ever watched any kind of a makeover show, whether it's home makeover or personal makeover, you see the before and after the renovation or the person's makeover. It's a very powerful and dramatic perspective that you can use either a vertical split, horizontal split, or even a diagonal split if you're going to be a bit more sophisticated. It's a great for demonstrating sophistication and a clear story of improvement. And it moves the narrative from the plain old, oh, see, here's what we did to do this, to see the dramatic transformation. And if you've ever watched any of those shows, you know exactly what I mean. Now, you can create a series of, like renovation images, or you can actually just go ahead and do a one and done. Awesome. So here we see a regular horizontal split of, before was drab and now it's got this lightness. Now here is a split level view of the same idea of a home renovation. Okay, here we have the first image. So you can see that, this is the image of the room before it was drab, and now you have its light. It's got more sophisticated edginess to it. However, when you take a look at the split level perspective, it's got more drama to it. This line in the middle here, it's like it's erasing the old and putting in the new. So it does create a more dramatic look to it. This one tells a transformation story a little bit more dramatically, makes people feel more awestruck about the actual differences in improvement. So it's a very powerful tool. When used correctly, it can be a transformative experience for the viewer. Thanks for your time, and I will see you in the next video.